And then we'll take questions like we have been. Hit the raise your hand function and we'll call on you. Coach?
You know, I'm tickled to death that we won. But first off, I want to really compliment the way South Carolina played, the way they competed. They never quit. You know, it's just the ball bounced our way a couple of times. And, you know, it's a shame right now with what all these young men are going through that there has to be a winner and loser. I think by everybody getting to play tonight, absolutely was a win for some of these guys. And I'm glad that we got a chance to do that. I'm proud of our players. I'm proud of our staff, everybody in our organization. When you start thinking about what all these young men at every college has done since March, they go home. Some of them were called back in June. Some of them were called back in July, depending on the university. Maybe some of them were called back in August. But when they came back, they were facing something that we knew nothing about. And the courage that it took for these young men to come back, not knowing what tomorrow holds, the faith that they've had in all the institutions that they represent. You know, when you look at the social injustice that has went across our country and to see the the courage that the players on our team, the players on the other teams, it's inspiring to me, this generation of young men and women that are really fighting the fight. And it's encouraging for the future of our country, to me. But I just can't say how proud I am of our players, the other players across the country, and for what they've been going through. You know, I'm sure everywhere. You know, you look at these young men right now; they're having to take tests 3 days a week, and when you witness it, they're taking these tests with very high anxiety. They're not living the normal life that they lived like the rest of us did when they were in college. You know, they sit there in their rooms quarantining themselves so they don't put themselves at risk. The sacrifices that they're taking, um, it's it's really inspiring to see the courage and the willingness and how important um, this stuff is to all these players. And I just want to commend our players and everybody across the country uh, that are doing this. It's inspiring to watch. Um, you know, the last thing that I don't think nobody really there's no way to measure it. It's the mental health piece. You know, when you sit in your room, um, not doing what you normally would do while you're in college or high school, trying to make sure that you quarantine, there's not a whole lot to do. Um, and the sacrifices that all of these young men and women are making right now to have an opportunity to be able to play says a whole lot about them. But I just wanted to say that. It's been inspiring to watch. Um, you know, tonight's game, we made a lot of mistakes early on. We had a botched snap, had the ball, you know, driven right through us on the opening drive. Uh, there was a lot of good. We just were very inconsistent, and that's the one thing that I just challenged our team. We played about like I thought we would play. Um, you know, being in this business for a while, you know when a team's ready to play, and because the circumstances that we faced during fall camp, I knew we wasn't ready to play a game at a high level. Um, but we actually played better in spurts than I was afraid that we would. And then there was times that we didn't sustain. So we had a couple of guys out tonight. Hopefully we'll get these guys back, but it's encouraging that our guys continue to find a way. I can't say enough about it. So with that, I'll take any questions.
We'll start with Austin Price and then go to David Ubben.
Coach, just take me through what DeAndre Johnson did in fall camp to kind of earn that starting spot, and then the play that he had tonight. It was some of his best of his career. What did you think about it?
DeAndre over the last year, you really see a young man that is maturing, not only on the field but off the field. He wanted to come back and move back into the dorm for his last year. It's his third year in the system, so he knows what to do. He's a smart guy. He's a competitor. He's playing with confidence. I don't know what kind of numbers he had tonight, but it seemed like he was in on a lot of plays. But he's got a lot of really good football ahead of him.
Jeremy, how would you assess what you saw from Jarrett tonight?
Inconsistent. I mean, he made some really good. His decision making was good. I think there was a couple of times, maybe he was confused a little bit. His decision making was good. I know he would like to have some throws back. He was a little high on some throws, but you know what? We ain't had hardly any wide receivers practice for a long time. I mean, we've got them back for the last 5 days. Hopefully we can clean some of this up and get our timing better for next week.
We'll go Mike Wilson, followed by David Pascal.
Yeah, Jeremy, you touched on DeAndre there, but were you surprised just by how much production you got from the outside linebacker position as a whole with Tyler Barron and Kevon Bennett as well?
Well, we've got other guys too. Those three guys played pretty well, I guess. And Roman Harrison's a guy there. J.J. Peterson, Morvin Joseph is some guys there that have ability. I think Coach Felton has really poured into these guys. They're with the exception of DeAndre and Kevon, the rest of them hadn't played hardly any major college football. So they're going to continue to improve, and I believe that they'll work hard to do that.
David?
Can you talk about your overall defensive performance in that you always want to make a team one-dimensional? And I think they only had 40 rushing yards after 3 quarters, but they were able to continue with Shy to get a lot of connections. Can you just talk about what y'all tried to do defensively and what y'all were able to do?
Well, we didn't get off the field on 3rd down in that one drive there, the first drive. And you got to give them credit. If y'all noticed tonight, we played Bryce at safety. Warren Burrell and Jalen McCullough have been out. They've only practiced a few days. Sean Schamberger didn't make the trip, so we were piecing it together there a little bit. Knew that coming in, so but we were inconsistent. We had a chance to kind of put our foot on our throat, and we didn't. You got to give them credit, and we got to quit making mistakes, and got to do a better job coaching. That's on me. So we'll coach them up better, hopefully between now and next week.
Oh, Patrick Brown, followed by Trey Wallace.
Yeah, Jeremy, what did you think you guys got from Bayless Jones? He had the big kick return and a few catches tonight. What do you think of what he brought to your offense?
Well, Bayless is a guy that he's really strong. He's got a good core, got good quickness. Had a lot of success in return game out at USC, something that we felt like he could help us with here. So a guy that we got to get the ball to more. And we had several young wide receivers that didn't get any touches much tonight. And, those guys will, as they continue to learn the offense, most of those guys have missed a lot of practice. As they continue to learn the offense, they'll get a chance to get them some touches.
Trey?
Jeremy, what did you think of Jeremy Banks tonight, your inside linebackers? How do you think the outside linebackers played? And what did you think of Toa Toa's pick six?
Well, it's hard to look at every position, right? So I'd hate to really comment on how somebody played until I watch the tape. I feel like we've got four guys in there with Henry and Q and Jeremy Banks and Aaron Beasley that can give us some minutes in there. We've got to be more consistent there. We made some mistakes there, which we knew we would. So these guys will continue to improve and get better.
We'll go to Blake Topmeyer and then Gustavo.
And Jeremy, with the snap on the punt, is that something that had been an issue at all throughout the preseason? Why'd you just – I mean, obviously there's a bad snap, but just can you kind of take us through your decision to make the change there at long snapper?
Well, I think I told you guys back in camp that it was either the first 4 or 5 days we didn't even do special teams because all the specialists were in quarantine. And then when they all got back, half our team was in quarantine, so we couldn't really cover kicks. And that's no excuse for not repping. We were repping the stuff, but I'm just saying we hadn't got the work there that we need. So, hey, Will Albright, we think is one of the best long snappers in the country. Okay, he made a mistake. I promise you, when he woke up this morning, he didn't walk out there and say, "Hey, I'm going to roll the snap back there." It just happens, right? I didn't. When I woke up this morning, I didn't want to call a call that Mike Bobo got me on by throwing the ball to the back down there in the red area that resulted into a call. I wished I had that back. So we all make mistakes, and Will's going to be a great player for us.
Gustavo?
Coach, you started the last 2 seasons now winning, and tonight you guys starting down 7-0, and you guys came back. How proud you felt with your players, this win, what you said in the beginning, how tough this the off-season was. How proud you felt when your players overcome so many difficulties, start from behind and coming back?
Well, I'm tickled that they found a way, so there's lots of things that we can work on and improve, I'm sure. There's probably lots of things that we did well. But the bottom line is we're leaving Columbia with a W, and that's what we came here for.
All right, time for a few more here. We'll go to Rob Lewis and back to David Oven.
Coach, you just touched on finding a way. Now that you've won 7 in a row and 4 of them have been, one possession games, do you feel like that's one of the things that your squad has gotten better at is just knowing what it takes to win, not panicking in close games, and like you say, finding a way?
Well, I think they believe. They believe in each other. They believe in our program. They believe in our culture. It's not easy in this league, right? So we're not going to complain about winning a football game. I can tell you that. We're going to celebrate winning one on the road in this league's hard to do. So we're going to celebrate, and we're going to go back and fix what we can fix tomorrow and take Monday off and go to work on Missouri on Tuesday.
David?
Jeremy, how would you assess what you saw from the offensive line tonight, and what did you make of Cade Mays, I guess, not getting anything definitive heading into the season opener?
Yeah, the offensive line, there was times that we opened up some really good holes. There's times that we had really good protection, but there was a few times that we didn't, right? So everywhere on our football team can really improve, and we've got to work hard to do that. The situation with Cade it's obviously been frustrating with me, and I'm frustrated for Cade. I'm frustrated for a lot of kids that maybe are having to sit out this year. I mean, the things that these young men go through right now. And Cade was one of the guys that when we had all the unknowns came back and tried to persevere and find a way, it's just frustrating. My grandmother used to always say, if you ain't got something nice to say, don't say nothing at all. So I'm just not going to say anything else.
We'll finish with Joe Rexroad.
Sorry, I got a mute problem there. So, Jeremy, real fast, I just wanted to ask you about Elijah Simmons, what you've seen from him in camp. What do you think you can get out of him this year? And if you did notice from the sideline some of the stuff he was doing out there tonight.
Well, most of the time when I notice Elijah is when he's coming through the lunch line. Me and him usually have the two biggest plates. So, but he's a guy that's worked really hard. That when he got here this summer, he weighed 370 pounds, and I think he played tonight at 343. So that tells you a little bit about him. And I think he's got a lot of upside. Smart kid. Really good student. Football is important to him. Has a smile on his face all the time, and he might be the best singer in the whole state of Tennessee.
Thank you, Coach. We'll have players shortly on this same Zoom link.